gentlemen, a very good morning and welcome to this, the 64th episode of the Coffee at 11 show. Delighted that you've chosen to join us and thank you for being here. And in particular, I want to welcome my special guest, Mr. Eddy O'Shaughnessy. Eddy, can you say hi and show us, have you got a coffee mug there with you, please?
Yeah, good morning. Lovely to be on. Thanks for having me, Colin. So I'd always been dabbling and looking at business ideas, and I'd looking at import-export, and I'd looking at loads of things. And people knew, I suppose, that I was kind of open to looking at stuff. So very much by chance, the business that I'm in now just came across my lap. It was just one of those things, really. Actually, I'll just tell the story how it did happen. I haven't told the story for years, but it was a Saturday and it was raining in Charleville, as it does a lot of the time. But Cathy was downtown doing shopping and she was walking down the street and her first cousin was driving in the opposite direction and he rolled down the window. At the time we did the shop open. This guy had a band along with a few of his friends, and at the same time you two had just started and they were very, very beginning to get successful. But I had a guy, their manager, whose name escapes me at the moment, but he was kind of seen as being the key figure in the success of the band. He just basically pulled all the strings and got him going. McGuinness, yeah, wasn't it? Yeah, that was his name. So James, he rolled down the window and he was shouting out in the rain, in the traffic to Cathy. He wanted to meet me. He had a business idea. So she came on and said, James, he wants to call up this evening. He has this business idea. And through all of that, I interpreted that as being he wanted me to become the manager of the band. That was my interpretation of what he had said, even though it turned out that it wasn't what he had said. But when he came, I just assumed I was going to be the next band manager. I was going to take the boys on tour and it was going to be brilliant because I didn't play or I didn't sing, but I could do that bit and the boys could do their bit. So that turned out to be the business that I have ever since, which is a long way from U2 and a long way from music and bands. But that's how I kind of started, so very much by accident. But
I love it. Boolabus. And am I right in saying the McGuinness fella you're talking about is the manager of U2?
Correct, yeah. That's who I saw myself. I saw myself as being him with the lads. They were doing the music. I was doing the business end of it. That was my plan.
And you two never bought into that? That's a shame. My goodness.
Look, sure.
Anyway, and you know what? If they had, they could have been big. They could have been big.
They could have made it. Who knows?
Eddy, that's a great story. Eddy, my friend, you mentioned Cathy. When did you meet? How did you meet?
Actually, we were working in the same job. So that's how we met. The first time we met was actually they used to have socials in those days. All the factories, all the business, the bigger businesses used to have an annual Christmas social. That's where we met, and it kind of, it was one of those things that it was destined to happen. So we were together for about 40 years. Like we started as, like, Cathy was 20, I was 21, and so we kind of grew up together when we were getting old together, I suppose, a bit, yeah.
Yeah, sorry to bring you here, but it's a significant part of the story. And Gemma, you're very welcome. Gemma's Eddy and Cathy's daughter here in the cafe. You're very welcome. Thank you for being here.
But anyway, so I was on LinkedIn and I was scrolling and I was just killing time, really. I was just doodling. But I realised that I needed to get out of the house. And I didn't want to get out locally. I didn't want to go anywhere I'd been on where start the whole conversation all over again. So I saw this flyer advertising a talk in Cork, in Fort Island Resort Hotel. And it was a guy it was like an adventurer. He was going to tell his story. It sounded interesting, sounded like a guy who had a story to tell. And I said I'd go because it was over an hour away. So at least if I only drove there and back, it would be 2 hours out of the house. And I said, look, nobody knows me. I'll go in the door. I'll sit somewhere near the door so that if I need to get out, I can just get out without making a big fuss. So I went to it, and it turned out to be a fundraiser for an organisation called the Hope Foundation. So it was 20 euro in the door, in the ticket, and seemed to me like that would be a night out, get out of the house. That was the plan. So what I saw then, I suppose, really, so this guy tells his story, and it was interesting now. But when he finished, this lady was introduced by the host, and it turned out to be a lady called Maureen Forrest, who's the founder of the Hope Foundation. So Maureen went up and she thanked the speaker because it was a freebie from him, like, because he was like, he did a lot of work for the Hope Foundation, and so he flew over from England to do the talk. And she thanked everyone for coming, and she said, look, you've all paid €20 on the door. I just want to show you for the next couple of minutes where the money actually goes. And she put on a video for a couple of minutes. And so what I saw really changed everything and changed my way of thinking, which was a good thing. And it just shook me up, was changed my life really. So what she showed was, like, there was this, like, kind of like a mountain. And you could see these little black dots on the mountain, and then it focuses or it zooms in a bit, and you could see the dots taking shape, and they were like crouched over. And they went in further again, then you could see that there was two different things happening. That there was pigs, there was these black pig, really big black pigs, and I was going to say I met him afterwards. I didn't actually meet him. I saw him afterwards. And the other thing was children. So there was these 4 or 5-year-old children who were bent over, so that the pig and the child had the same shape because they were both bent over, obviously. The pigs were looking for food, and the children were picking plastic. So they were picking plastic and were putting into these massive big sacks and bringing them back down again. So she went on to explain that it's Bagger Dump, which is one of the things, the biggest dump outside Calcutta, which subsequently, Jim and myself actually went there subsequently, but every morning something like 19 trucks land into Bagger Dump and tip, and as soon as the trucks come, all the children would arrive. The parents would send them up on the dump, and themselves and the pigs would be on the dump all day. They'd be picking the plastic. They'd come down and they'd sell that then for a couple of pence, which was what was going to feed them for the day. They were sleeping on the street, so they'd go back down when they were finished. They'd sleep in the street to get up in the morning and do the whole thing all over again. And she explained that when she had seen this herself, that she didn't think that was any way for a child to live. And she really explained and showed me in particular, like, what was going on in that part of the world. And it was just from watching that when I went in the door feeling really sorry for myself and really down and really like, oh, what's it all about, and where's my life after disappearing all of a sudden. And I left the room thinking, there's people actually out there worse than I am. These kids have no hope, like. And I said, it's about time I stopped feeling sorry for myself, and maybe we should do something. So on the way back, I phoned the lads, my family, on the way back, and I said, look, I'm looking at this thing. Maybe we should do something, like, in your mother's name. Maybe we should do something. Maybe we could make a difference to these children, because nobody deserves to live like the way they live, like, you know. So we started off with a place called Nabawasha, children's home there. So I put some money in, and the company I work with, the Just Plus company, put in, they match funded me. So we got 14 grand put together. And we went over then to see Nabawasha. That's where we put the original, and there was 52 children in there. But from there, then that was only a kind of a one-off kind of a thing. Just they were short money for that project. We had the money, so we put it in. But then we got into a place called Pension and Tala. Yeah, that photograph actually is in Bagger. That Bagger Creche, which is those lads, those two guys there would have been on the dump. They would have been some of the many children picking the plastic. So we got involved with Pension Atella Creche, which has 48 children. But then what we really wanted happened the following year, and I visited a place called Chitpur. Now Chitpur, that's Chitpur. And those children are amazing, and all the people that we met, just to explain, there's something like 3,000 slums in Calcutta. Now, one of the many things I've learned over it, there's two types of slums. There's official slums and there's unofficial slums. So if you live in an official slum, for every 25 families, there's one tap, one toilet, and one power plug point. For every 25 families. That's the official slum. If you live in an unofficial slum, there's zero, nothing, nada, nothing. And that's where these guys, like where these guys live. There's a river beside it, and it's black. I mean, it stinks. Like your temperatures now are always going to be 30. It's all 30 plus. Like it's very warm, and the stink off of that river, like and the flies and the filth, and just beside the river, then they took us into this it was like this alleyway. You're going into all these little runs, all these little alleys, and they're just about. Like maybe two people could pass, maybe just about, they're that narrow. But these guys then would live in little, so there's canvas and bit of tin and plastic structures that all these lads would live in. And there's, as it turns out, there's 120 families in that community in this place called Chitpur.
It's being done in Cathy's memory. You guys, as you said, you grew up together, 41 years together, and then your life changed. Ironically, hundreds of lives will change as a result. So many people are blessed because of what happened, because of what you decided to do, rather than getting bitter and holding it all to yourself. Woe is me, you've stepped out, and it's become bigger and richer as a result. And Cathy O'Shaughnessy will save hundreds, thousands of lives over time. So, full of us.